This next session is something new at this year's summit. There are so many incredible tools that are being built here in the United States and around the world. Concrete tools that you can take and adapt and implement. And we wanted to take time in the summit agenda to feature just a handful of them so that you can see a whole range of different tools that you can consider adapting, replicating, implementing. You'll see name cards at the tables. Everyone presenting on this stage at Tool Time, everyone tabling out in the atrium has a table. We encourage you over lunch to join a table with an organization or an individual you want to hear more from, with a potential partner you want to collaborate. That's our goal, is to inspire implementation of the phenomenal ideas on this stage and new collaborations. First up for Tool Time, we have Humaira Khan from Muflahun, and she is presenting the Community Resilience Early Warning System.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Humaira Khan, and I'm the president and co-founder of Muflahun. So we are a resource center. We focus on capacity building, developing strategies, and working with raising public awareness around social harms. So by now, you've all heard about the public health approach for preventing violence, right? We've had plenaries, keynote speakers, working groups, all talking about it. But here's the reality. It is not sufficient to have secondary prevention only. So your threat assessment, the TAM teams, threat assessment and management teams, not enough. Or tertiary programs. So what is essential is primary prevention. And what we're talking about goes well beyond raising awareness, capacity building, holding dialogues, survivor stories. We have to do more. So what we have to do is focus on proactive, evidence-based strategies to prevent violence from starting in the first place. Now, if you're a decision maker in this room, and many of you are, you're thinking, that's easy to say, Humaira. How am I actually going to do that? How do I prioritize prevention efforts with so many competing needs and such limited resources? Well, I've got good news for you. We have CRUISE, the Community Resilience Early Warning System. And CRUISE is a data-driven analytics platform. We're evaluating more than 70 risk and protective factors over over 20 categories based on decades of data. We're extracting data from dozens of databases and survey instruments. And we're using explainable machine learning to help communities pinpoint what are the 5 to 10 main factors which have had the biggest impact on their safety and well-being. Right? And we paired those qualitative insights with the quantitative insights with the qualitative inputs from the local agencies, the community partners, and CRUISE shows both how locations are succeeding, what's doing well, but also where there are places for improvement. And thanks to funding from DHS CP3, from Public Safety Canada, which means all of your tax dollars, right? CRUISE can be applied to prevent hate crimes, targeted violence, in any crime, basically any crime in the US and Canada. And we also have a partnership with Vested, and our platform has expanded to analyze gun violence prevention. And we launched that very recently at the Gifford Center Community Violence Intervention Conference. So CRUISE can actually be used to analyze all 50 states, over 3,100 counties, over 30,000 towns and cities across the US. And we have the same kind of coverage in Canada. Every province and territory, every metro area, every municipality in there. And just as every one of these communities is unique, so are their prevention priorities. And I'm going to give you examples. So if you're the Philadelphia Commission on Human Relations, CRUISE has helped you identify who should be at the table other than law enforcement. And that includes the Small Business Bureau, as well as the libraries. Or if you're the city of Hamilton, Ontario, where health equity, food security for adults, and public transportation challenges are very closely tied to community safety. Or if you're in hyper-diverse Burnaby, British Columbia, and that's had rising anti-Asian hate crimes during the pandemic, their unmet healthcare needs have become a risk factor, which they previously were not. We're seeing that mental health conditions have actually increased the vulnerability of the city, right? Or if it's Scranton, Pennsylvania, there the CRUISE process is identified. You have to strengthen after-school youth programming. So these are some examples, but you're getting the picture. So if you're a mayor's office or a city council and you're working on your community safety and well-being plans, or you're law enforcement and you know that you cannot resolve issues like homelessness and like substance abuse, or you're a state agency trying to figure out which county has the greatest needs and in which area, or a city foundation, and you want to maximize the impact of your investments, come talk to us. We'll give you a demo of how CRUISE can practically help your communities prioritize what's most important. You know, yesterday Bill Brandon reminded us, hate can't stand up to love for very long. It's a little cheesy, Bill, but we do agree with you. But achieving that love requires investing in primary prevention. It means using data-informed approaches to build strong, protective environments around our beloved communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Humera. Next up, we have Brad Orsini from Secure Community Network. So Humera, primary prevention, Brad, Secure Community Network, more of the intelligence-driven approach.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brad Orsini. I have the honor and privilege of serving the Jewish community as the Senior National Security Advisor for the Secure Community Network. We're the official safety and security nonprofit for the organized Jewish community. We work under the auspices of the Jewish Federation of North America and the Conference of Presidents of major Jewish organizations. In the few minutes I have with you today, I'd like to discuss the resources that SCN has built to give the tools necessary to really build a holistic, layered security approach for an individual or an organization. Please take the time today to visit our table, my colleague Larry Glickman out in the hall, to take a look at the free resources we have. We have experts with thousands of years of law enforcement experience, which has helped us build a best-in-class safety and security team. With these thousands of years of experience, our team provides consultations, assessments, training, and direct support to incidents within our community across North America. Since 2017, SCN has seen a steady increase in the threats and violent incidents to members of our community with acts of violent extremism. Simply put, our community members is under attack and has, for several years, led to the murders of our community members. Since October 7, 2023, the threat to our community has only increased. It has increased dramatically, and we are working overtime with our phenomenal law enforcement partners to mitigate the threat daily. As SCN focuses on safety and security of the Jewish community, we also know the strength of collaborating with all our faith-based partners. A hateful attack on one faith-based group is an attack on all of us. As the Jewish community continually works on the power of the collective, we know that a threat to the Muslim community, Sikh community, or Christian community is a threat to us all. That's why we work with our faith-based partners to leverage our experience and responses to make stronger and more resilient community. In the audience today, we have many survivors of attacks from across the country to our Jewish community and around the world. Jeff Cohen, a survivor of the hostage situation that occurred on January 15, 2022 in Collifield, Texas at Congregation Beth Israel, is with us today. You'll hear from him later. He and 2 other hostages escaped that horrific day. Keep in mind, they were not rescued, although there was a robust response from law enforcement. They saved themselves. Jeff and others credit the training they got from SCN and other groups that led to their success in escaping from that horrific 11-hour hostage situation. Also in the audience today are my friends from the Tree of Life, Dor Hadash, and New Light congregations that survived that attack on October 27, 2018 in Pittsburgh. People like Rabbi Jeffrey Myers, Steve Weiss, Audrey Glickman, Carol Black, Martin Gaynor, Barry Warber, Andrea Wedner are some of that people that survived that day in October 2018. These individuals now spend time in their day around the year working with us, working with other groups to educate the broader community on how resiliency comes about through training and preparedness. Today, I just want to briefly discuss some of the resources we've made available to the broader community. Our goal is to ensure everybody has these resources, not just the community. So if we talk about protecting aspects of Jewish life, we're talking about protecting all signs, whether it's our house of worship, whether it's our community centers, senior citizen. We have resources out there. Please don't reinvent the wheel. We have these items for you. One of the biggest threats we're working on now is the campus threat that our college students are undergoing. We work with our law enforcement partners. We've worked with college administrators. We work with the Hillel Jewish Student Centers to come up with different tools necessary to keep our students safe on campuses. We have an agreement with Hillel International to report campus hate. We encourage all our community to report the hates that they are seeing continually on our campus. We want to make sure that they go about their day being Jewish, being able to be themselves on our college campuses. That's our goal. Our goal is to mitigate that next threat while living our best Jewish life, while living our faith-based life. I want to encourage all of you to spend some time out in our desk today to get any resources you need. We have resources on how to keep you safe, how to, if you're in that time of danger, that 3 to 5 minutes when something bad happens, when law enforcement is coming, what should we all be doing collectively? Personally, this year marks my 40th year in the protection of our community throughout the United States. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps, 28 years plus in the FBI, now 8 years in the Jewish communal security world. Unfortunately, we are in unprecedented times with the rise of hate hate-fueled speech, hate-fueled incidents. We will never let hate win. Our goal is to build a more aware, empowered, and resilient community. I want you all to please join us to help keep all our faith-based communities safe. One last point I really want to recognize. I know there's probably about, I think from the conference organizers, about 83 mental health professionals in here. I woke up this morning and I heard of the tragic death of an individual by the name of Sherelle Golan. Sherelle Golan was a 22-year-old survivor of the Nova Film Festival in Israel. In the last 24 hours after surviving that attack last year, she took her own life. And as I was reading that at 5 o'clock this morning, I thought about our 1027 Healing Center, the great work they've done with the survivors in Pittsburgh, the work they're doing with survivors nationwide. It is second to none what the 1027 Healing Center did here in Pittsburgh. We know that's happening across the United States. I just wanted to share that story because that really made me think about how fortunate we are here in Pittsburgh to have the group of people helping our survivors from the Tree of Life and other incidents. With that, please take some time, go out to our booth, and we will be happy to share our resources with you. And being a proud Pittsburgh burger, a Yunzer, go Steelers, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad. Next up, the panel before this, we saw helping people help themselves. One of the newest efforts to reach people who most need help. We're seeing from Let's Talk With Them. And here today we have Jordan Estrada.
Good morning, friends. My name is Jordan Estrada, and I'm the director and founder of Let's Talk to Them. At Let's Talk to Them, our mission is to, like many people here, our mission is to prevent future mass shootings by proactively reaching out to potential perpetrators in the early stages of their ideation with the goal of redirecting them from violence and directing them onto a path of hope. One of the ways we do this is through our social media outreach campaigns, and today I'm honored to share a little bit with you about how that works and our early successes thus far. Our social media outreach campaigns begin with the creation of a social media model of what at-risk populations look like on specific social media platforms. When we talk about these at-risk populations, we're talking about individuals on popular social media platforms who are at risk of thinking, fantasizing, planning, or even committing to becoming the next mass shooter. These are the individuals we're attempting to reach. Now, fortunately, there's an extensive body of knowledge that we've been able to draw on about the social media habits of previous mass shooters. Many have gone before us and cataloged and documented the behaviors of previous mass shooters, what they did on social medias, their habits, their habitats, and we've been able to take all that information and synthesize it, add to it our own original research and investigation, and create this profile of what potential perpetrators of mass violence could look like on social media. Now then we combine that with the overwhelming body of knowledge about the demographics and characteristics of mass shooters. Again, many before us, and I want to specifically highlight the Violence Project. If anyone here has worked on the Violence Project, I would love to talk to you afterwards. But there's extensive research about the characteristics and profiles and types of people who go on to commit mass shootings. So we can combine all this information and then use that to create a social media model that's very specific to that social media platform. So for example, our social media model on Instagram is specifically related to the populations on Instagram, the at-risk populations on Instagram that might be at risk of contemplating mass violence. As we explore other profiles, other platforms, we're currently active on Instagram and TikTok, but on each of these platforms we create a model on that platform of the at-risk populations on that platform. So once we have this model, we're able to use it to run lookalike campaigns that are basically ad campaigns where we are reaching out to these at-risk populations with content that's designed to engage with them and redirect them onto a path of hope and recovery. We do this by teaming together some very talented social media influencers with mental health experts to create engaging, organic content that fits with the platform vibe and ethos, while also being psychologically optimized to connect with the mindsets of potential mass shooters. We create viral-style videos or TikTok reels, meme-based videos, and other things that are very normal to the people on these platforms, but have a message of hope and deterrence and also redirection to resources. Now, once we launch these campaigns, we're constantly going back, analyzing the results, and using these campaigns to fine-tune and improve future campaigns. We're constantly analyzing the results and making sure we're continuing to reach these at-risk populations. So here's a quick snapshot of the current campaign we're running. We're about a month into this current campaign, and we've been able to reach a number of individuals within this at-risk population, direct them to our care websites, and then a number of those have gone on to seek counseling resources. And as you see, these early results are very scalable. We use this campaign to direct at-risk populations to care, but there are many ways that this model could be used to reach out to at-risk populations and direct them to some of the many platforms for intervention and recovery that currently exist. We've talked a lot on this stage about how social media is being used for ill, how bad actors are using it to promote their hate-fueled ideology, and at Let's Talk to Them, we believe we can counter that by using the same tools to promote hope and recovery for these individuals. So if that's something you're currently doing or are interested in talking more, I'd love to talk to you after the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jordan. This next tool is something I'm really excited about. We at Eradicate Hate have had the pleasure of working with the Institute for Strategic Dialogue for several years now in various forms. And when they approached our Prevention Practitioners Network last year and said, we want to provide real-time insights to practitioners to help improve their practice, I said, yes, sign us up. And so we're delighted to partner with the Institute for Strategic Dialogue to get the insights they're about to share with you out to practitioners at each of our workshops throughout the year. We'll also be doing a focus group on this product later in the summit so that if you want to see it in greater detail, provide input, we welcome that as well. Please welcome to the stage Catherine Keneally, Institute for Strategic Dialogue.
Thanks, Brad. Hi, everyone. I am Catherine Keneally. I'm the Director of Threat Analysis and Prevention at the Institute for Strategic Dialogue. As Brett alluded to, we will be using this tool to provide actionable insights to practitioners who are on the ground. Now, at the heart of every single ISD piece of research or product is the end goal of ensuring that it can be used to support both policy and action lines of effort, both by our organization and practitioners across the United States, as well as around the world. And that is exactly what this tool does. So the U.S. Online Domestic Violent Extremism Monitor, which is supported by DHS, Science and Technology Directorate, and partnered with Eradicate Hate and Strong Cities Network, analyzes platforms, narratives, and targets of hate from a diverse range of domestic violent extremism threat actors. Looking at approximately 1,000 accounts across both mainstream and alternative social media platforms, we are able to provide actionable insights, to provide insights on trends that we are seeing throughout the United States that are impacting your communities. As we all know, and has been a topic repeated again and again, the online threat environment is not staying online. And so what this tool seeks to do is ensure that those online insights are getting into the hands of those that need them. So how can this be useful? First, we can see what real-world events are causing a spike in online DVE activity. So what particular events, be it the first assassination attempt of former President Trump, be it the RNC or DNC over the summer, what impact is this having on domestic violent extremism communities? Are people talking about mobilization? Is it being used for radicalization efforts? Additionally, we can use it to identify platforms of concern. So what is the platform landscape? Where are domestic violent extremism threat actors actually active? What platforms do you need to be aware of? What ones do you need to be looking at? On the left here, you can see a breakdown of engagement by platform, as well as on the right where it relates to engagements. And then in the middle here, you can see how it correlates with the particular events that I had previously just mentioned. Additionally, what or who are the key DVE threat actors online? This is looking across the entire spectrum, so we are breaking it down by particular movements or ideology, so you can better understand what the impact is to particular movements. Are agave movements prevalent in your community? REMV, we can break it down to see exactly what particular movements or ideologies or groups are being mobilized surrounding a particular event, a particular topic. And this, I think, is particularly interesting for everyone in the room. As we saw in Ohio and as we have seen in Southport, United Kingdom, there are real-world repercussions to online hate and false and misleading narratives online, this curated information environment. And so, as Brett had alluded to, how can this have early warning insights? So what we can do is we can look at this data and see what locations are being mentioned. Are extremist groups heavily focused on, for example, in this, Mississippi? And what this can be used is to inform practitioners of the potential for real-world threats emanating in their communities. Additionally, what are the narratives that are most prevalent online? So are people most talkative around religion or governments and politics? Are there particular sub-themes that are being used to radicalize or mobilize? And additionally, mentions of people, mentions of public figures that might be observed in narratives or may be threatened. Additionally, what does the targeted hate look like? So here what we have is broken down by anti-Semitism and anti-Muslim hate, but we are also expanding this to include racism, misogyny, anti-LGBTQ+, and anti-migrant hate. So it can help you understand what particular marginalized communities are being targeted, what communities are potentially at risk of being threatened. And then lastly, mapping the international influence on DVE. As we saw with Southport, the real-world ramifications of that were not just in the UK, but they were present in the US. What we saw were extremist groups use that particular incident to stoke fear, paranoia, promote threats against particular communities, and try to even inspire threats and riots in the United States. And so what we can do is see here what the international impact or influence is on activity in the US. And so with that, I hope that you may visit us at the ISD table. Additionally, we will be having a working group event at 2 p.m. tomorrow in room 315, where you can learn more about how this tool can be useful for you. Thank you.
And an additional self-interested plug, come to our Prevention Practitioners Network events throughout the year where you can see this tool in action as well. So we're very excited for the potential there. Our final tool for Tool Time will be shared by Brian Hughes from Peril at American University. Brian.
Good morning. As Brett said, my name is Brian Hughes. I'm the Associate Director of Peril at American University. Peril is an applied research lab that uses public health principles to reduce the social and psychological conditions that give rise to radicalization, extremism, targeted violence, and conspiracy theory culture. Our interventions run the gamut from highly targeted and personalized support in communities in need to fully scaled digital messaging campaigns against supremacist ideologies and hate-fueled propaganda. Today I'm here to tell you about a range of tools that work at both of these scales and in the spaces in between as well. Peril's toolkits are free, downloadable guides that equip communities with the knowledge they need to recognize and intervene into the processes of radicalization. The goal of these kits is to build deep resilience, not only to recover from crises and tragedy, but to build more inclusive, cohesive communities as well. Communities where events like that are less likely to occur and will cause less damage if they do occur, and communities that will emerge from crisis even stronger than before. Peril's Parents and Caregivers Guides and our Guide for Community Leaders educate readers about the social and emotional risk factors and red flags associated with radicalization. They offer perennial insights into the form and content of hateful conspiracies and ideologies such as the Great Replacement Theory and others. But perhaps most importantly, they provide easy, actionable steps that parents, caregivers, and community leaders, such as counselors, coaches, and clergy, can use to communicate with at-risk youth and young adults. Since launching this series of tools in 2020, Peril has conducted ongoing longitudinal assessment of their effectiveness with ongoing expansion of guide topics and new additions of existing guides based on our findings and based on developments in the world around us. The results are clear, and I'm happy to report that they are good. People who use these guides increase their awareness of the key concepts and terms associated with extremism and hate. They are more confident and more likely to intervene in cases of radicalization in their community. Our assessments show that community leaders actually are intervening in radicalization pathways because of the skills that they drew from their interactions with these toolkits. And I'll add that all of these assessments are also available for download along with the guides on our website, perilresearch.com/resources. Throughout this process, one of the most important qualities we've found of successful tools is audience tailoring. That is, speaking to communities based on their specific needs and speaking to readers based on the specific roles they fulfill in their communities. Peril's BRIC toolkits, or Building Resilient and Inclusive Communities of Knowledge, address college and university faculty, staff, administration, and students with concepts and practices to build resilient communities where hate can't thrive. Given the current climate associated with anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on college campuses, this is a more pressing need than ever before. Peril is very proud this year to have launched the BRIC Toolkit for Hispanic-serving institutions. Tools such as these are important for communities that are both routinely the targets of hate, as well as sites where bias and hate against marginalized and targeted groups can nevertheless still occur. Finally, I'd like to tease our upcoming toolkit on male supremacy and gender and sex-based bigotry. This is done in partnership with the Southern Poverty Law Center, as are many of our toolkits. This guide will provide the same comprehensive knowledge and skills as our other tools, addressed to the looming crisis of violent misogyny that many practitioners as well as communities are seeing begin to emerge. The guide will be live in December of 2024, and it will be free to download as well. You can find all of these resources and more at our website, perilresearch.com/resources. Please do visit and take advantage of the information that they offer. Thanks very much.